Welcome everybody to the Keys to Wisdom channel. Just gonna do a round two on Ronald's birth dates, and I want to show something here. Right, I had shown in the first video how I thought that I made a mistake. Right, how I put in Tishri 6, right, 5,724 when his Hebrew birth date is Tishri 16th. But I wound up seeing it right in here, right? Dates is teen. So I'm going to move that down here. 16. And we're going to use the DA as AD, right? So there's clarifications within the Gregorian system for AD and BC, and they'll also use CE for Common Era and BC, right? So now it says Ronald's birth, October 4, 1963 AD, Gregorian, and Tishri 16, 5,724 Hebrew. So when we're reproducing here the 10-4-63, it really wasn't a mistake. The mistake was in how I formulated the words to express it. Now, when I get it back out, right, Ronald's birth, these are the same days, the same day, right? You don't have to put a day after the birth or a date, right? It's already implied, right? So this is a proper way that people will write and express and say different dates. There's many different ways to do this. I can look at it 1963, 1963. We can go into day 277 of 1963, right? All these different clarifications of the same thing, right? AD for Anno Domini, right? Gregorian for the calendar we use, right? It's different than the Julian calendar. I can go in and look at his name also with September 21st or September 21, 1963 AD Julian, right? There's a lot of other stuff. I've only done limited stuff on it, but I wanted to show that. And then I'm going to transfer back to the other one and show something else. I'm glad Ronald asked about what do I see. And the AD came out, right? So now we're at there. He asked me about what do I see, right? Ronald's birth dates, October 4, 1963 Gregorian, right, is Tishri 16th, 5,724 Hebrew. So we have the very obvious one, 10-4-63, but it's in a key pair here, right? And this key pair here, over here, this is Hebrew. I just realized that, right? Tishri is the first month of the Hebrew year, 5724. He was born on the 16th day of the year, 5724, right? So it's day, month, year, Hebrew. First month, 16th day, 24, right? And obviously we're not talking about 5824. We're not talking about 5624, just like when we do this, right? Somebody asks you, what's your birth date? 10-4-63. Or in another part of the world that goes day, month, year, you go 4-10-63, right? Because of that gap of 100 years leaves everything explanatory, right? Well, it's the same way with the Hebrew. There's still those 100-year gaps. So if you say 1-16-24, and you're thinking about the Hebrew calendar, it only brings you to one day, Tishri 16th, 5724, right? And he was also asking me what I thought about all these other things. Well, we're in the Hebrew year 5784. Our next Hebrew year is going to be 5785. Now I wanted to look at this key pair here, and well, there's something significant to it, right? We could look at this and say something about September 25th. and it's actually heavily related to 5785. Why? Because September 25th is skipped by 5785. No September 25th date in Gregorian will relate to the Hebrew year 5785. 925, September 25th, 2024 is the Hebrew year 5784. September 25th, 2025 is the Hebrew year 5786 because of the relations and fluctuations between mainly it's the fluctuations of the Hebrew calendar, but the relations and fluctuations between the Gregorian and Hebrew calendar. So when I showed this, I'm glad Ronald asked, and I went back and looked at some of the stuff that I can see here because both of it's there. It's October 4th, 63. It's Tishri 16th, 24 for these exact dates. So when I put it in there, Ronald's birth dates, October 4, 1963 Gregorian, Tishri 16th, 5724 Hebrew, right? We're producing a key pair of the exact dates, right? This Gregorian date that I put in is right here. This Hebrew date that I put in, it's right here, right? And there's other ways to ponder on looking at these keys, right? Could be something to do with 2024, maybe the 314th day, which would be November 9th, right? XIIX, depending on where you're at. That could be something. These are different things to ponder on. That's one large difference between the word that I use and all of the other forms of gematria out there. So I'm going to click over real fast just to show here what the Clues app has on the other side, right? There's actually 9 different ones, but because we're so large in this, right, we're only able to see a few. But the simple gematria value of what I put in here would be 1,615. All the different letters are put in there. They do cross sum, right? 1 plus 6 plus 1 plus 5 is 13. Cross summed again to 4, right? It has all this information. There's actually 9 forms of this simple gematria on there. Every single one of them takes words and phrases and converts it to one single key, right? The Hebrew 1 would have a 10, 13, 1, 6, right? So every single one of them does that. The stuff over here on this side, what I do, everything is converted into 11 keys, and through the stuff that I use, it brings all the words and phrases into direct relation with the calendar systems. Exact dates, especially in Gregorian, they're much easier to see. We're more familiar with it, but people who are familiar with the day, month, year format of the Hebrew can also get the same information like I'm showing right here, right? 1/16/24 is 10/4/63. Both of those are Ronald's birth dates or birth days, right? And they're both the exact same thing, right? The only time they would be different, Ronald said he was born at 8:30 in the morning, right? So he's most definitely Tishri 16th. If he was born after dark on October 4, then it would change because Hebrew years always cover 2 different Gregorian days because they start at sunset, right? And they end the next day at sunset. So the vast majority of people will always be born on the conversion deal, but those who are born between after sunset and midnight have a different Hebrew day. So I think there's Hebrew to Gregorian relation going on in these 2 keys as it relates to 5785 and 925. And the other thing here I want to say about this is, right, October 4th, 1963 is the 277th day of the year. And if I wanted to stretch it out, right, I could say U, which is represented by 6666. It could say U, the 277th day, the final key, right? And this key here could be interpreted as October 4th, 1963, October 4th, 1963, October 4th, 1963, right? Really, these two are heavy there, but this is also representative of October 4th, 1963, though, right, that slight difference, it depends on the time of year as well, right? Because the sunset in the place that you are, and he's further north than I am in Montreal, right? The days are starting to get shorter. The days are at 12 hours a day, right around 9/21 of 63, which would be his Julian birth date, right? Then they start getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So we're about 9, 13, 14 days from the equinox, shaving off so many minutes per day there, right? And if you got close to December 21st, 1963, well, the sun's going to set a lot earlier in a place like Montreal. If you go further north, a place like Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska, was going to set a lot faster than that, right? And if you're born on in the North Pole in the Arctic Circle, well, I don't know how you're going to calculate the Hebrew days there, because the sun doesn't rise, doesn't set at all, right? But anyways, I wanted to make a second round video here because these are the showing day, month, year format. Gregorian, that's his birthday. Day, month, year format. Hebrew, that's his birthday. Ronald, Mr. TacPans. And I think I will do some more investigation in terms of his stuff here, because it's hitting so significant so soon with so little effort, that I can start looking into the different ways, and also incorporating the Julian calendar date into it, and see what else that I can do and I can show. But I wanted to show how on the other side of this app there's all the different forms of gematria on there. There's 9 different forms, right? Ronald's main form that he works with most of the time is the simple English gematria, right? Ronald's birthdays would equal 189, but he dabbles into the Pythagorean, Chaldean, and perhaps some of these other things as well. But it's going to show you 9 different forms of gematria that are out there that people use. And the last one on the bottom is Greek, right? And you can compare all, it'll calculate them all at the same time. All 9 of these forms of gematria that all will try to convert words and letters and phrases into one number, right? And then you see in contrast on here on the other side all about this. The 11 keys, right? This is where we bring the word to life, and it becomes compatible and relatable to all the different calendar systems that we use, right? Julian days, Gregorian days, and Hebrew days. So with that being said, please like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you think that's something you should do. And have a nice day. And also, for those of you out there that work with the word, if you are looking at the information that I'm showing here for Ronald and you see something else, please add it down in the comments. The more the merrier. And what I believe and I try to do with everything is to try to look at everything in as many ways as possible, right? So I'm sure that there are ways that you could look at some of those keys and the information in there that I'm showing on Ronald's birthdays, and have other possible ideas or interesting things to think about, different avenues to ponder on it, right? I'm very skilled, but I don't see everything all the time, right? And this we've been doing this and showing this now for 10 years, and I continue to go back to subjects that I had covered previous times, and it absolutely never fails that I start to see and understand stuff that was right in front of my face, but I didn't see it the previous time or the previous 2, 3, 4, 5 times I worked on those subjects. So I always keep coming back to subjects because my awareness and my recognition changes over time the more that I work with the word, and then I can show and explain what's in my plain sight, and if you're watching, in your plain sight, when we're looking into these type of keys. So all the different perspectives, right? Spect, what I've seen, right? From what I've seen, from, spect, seen, and I, right? Perspective, from what I've seen, right? But even if you've got 20/20 vision, which I don't have right yet, you're not seeing everything. And lots of eyes are better than 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever people have, right? I wear glasses, so obviously I'm not 20/20 vision. Some people call me 4 eyes and whatnot, but as far as I'm concerned, everything that we're looking at, as many eyes as you can get on it and different perspectives from what I've seen, the better. So if you see something, please share what you see, and have a nice day.